Hello everybody, welcome back to JoyClicks. My name is Christian, and today I spent a few hours researching what actually went down, what happened, and why the Harry Potter video game franchise just went and disappeared. Now, the easy answer is they stopped making movies, but we've had spin-offs in the past. We've got Fantastic Beasts in the pipeline for the future now, so Harry Potter is still alive and well. Hell, the franchise is worth over $25 billion when you encompass films, the theme parks, video games, everything. So I compiled a brief history through all my detective work of the rise and fall of the Harry Potter video games and what we can expect from it in the future. So first off, like I said, Harry Potter is worth over $25 billion as a brand. Despite the films being done, despite Fantastic Beasts being the name of the franchise that carries on the themes and locations of the Wizarding World, Warner Brothers would be stupid to let go of Harry Potter, especially when it comes to games. Now, Harry Potter itself has had over 14 different iterations of games and very distinct subsidiaries of the same game depending on the platform since we received the initial book that started it all. But on the video game side of things, 2001 is when we first got our hands on a Harry Potter video game, letting us explore the halls of Hogwarts in 2001's Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, or the Philosopher's Stone, if you are, unlike me, from anywhere else in the world besides the US and know what a philosopher is. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone ended up actually having 5 different studios make 5 distinct different versions of the Philosopher's Stone game, including a remake that released later, but I'll get to that soon. Like I said, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone released on the Game Boy Color, the Game Boy Advanced, the PlayStation 1, PCs, and later the remake released on the PS2, GameCube, and Xbox. Between November of 2001 when the game launched to February 2002, it was listed as one of the top 3 highest selling PC video games and was the top selling PC title in December, while the PlayStation version sold 8 million copies overall, making it one of the best selling PlayStation games and even one of the best selling games of all time when the game released. And it's no surprise there because Harry Potter is obviously a huge juggernaut that had the books building it up throughout the 90s, as well as the films that were recently beginning production and releasing, getting people hyped up for what Harry Potter is. So what does all this really mean? All of this is just showing that Harry Potter is a name. If we look forward to 2002, 1 year later, we get Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Again, several different versions of this game released. It was universally reviewed better than the Philosopher's Stone because they were able to develop initially for the PS2, as well as work on improvements from what issues there were in the PlayStation 1 release, as well as the PC release of Philosopher's Stone. Several different studios working on different versions of the same game. We have a PS1 version, a PS2 version, we have a PC version, we have a Game Boy version, lots of different resources, all being commissioned by EA to make one game for several different platforms. EA at this time believes in the success and the name of Harry Potter enough to push so much resources behind it and get it going. The following year, we saw 2 Harry Potter releases, the first being a spin-off Harry Potter the Quidditch World Cup. It was mainly focused on the multiplayer sports aspect of Quidditch, and the average review score for Quidditch World Cup ranged between 5 to 7s, but regardless, it sold well and it was viewed as a fun party spin-off for Harry Potter, again, growing the brand. But people who were looking for a fix of the same old when it comes to Harry Potter games were able to pick up the 2003 remake of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone in the same engine, same assets of Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets on the PS2. Since this is coming at a later time when developers are more comfortable with the architecture of the PS2, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone remake was able to fix several complaints that were issued in the first initial PlayStation 1 release of Philosopher's Stone, and even the complaints for Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets on the PS2. Again, in 2004, we got Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. This title ushered in a new era for Harry Potter games. EA brought in a new studio fully dedicated to making Harry Potter games, EA Brightlight, who developed Prisoner of Azkaban for the GameCube, PS2, and Xbox versions. Now, review scores for this one did dip a little bit underneath the scores that Chamber of Secrets and Philosopher's Stone both earned on the PlayStation 2. It mostly stuck with the same formula that was found in Harry Potter 1 and 2, where you are exploring an open-ish Hogwarts, going to classes, following the plot of the film, having some fun mini games you can do, dungeon crawling kind of in a vague sort of Zelda way. It very much kept the same spirit, atmosphere of those first two Harry Potter games. 2005, again, not skipping 1 year since the first initial wave of Harry Potter games. 2005 gave us Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, still developed by EA Brightlight, their second outing at a Harry Potter game, which offered a very huge shift. The open world was ditched in favor of a co-op level-based system where you're going from place to place, scenario to scenario with your co-op buddies, trying to gain points. It felt very much like a party action game, and it was less focused on the exploration aspect, which made the first three Harry Potter games so fun, being able to envelop yourself in that world. And it felt much closer to something like Marvel Ultimate Alliance than something like a Zelda. But it's more like if Marvel Ultimate Alliance wasn't fully realized. We see a slow decline in review scores. It kind of just felt like they were half-baking it, which is something that would continue moving forward with EA Brightlight. And this is the first time since the initial set of Harry Potter games where we have taken a year off. So 2006 comes and goes with no Harry Potter games, but 2007 gives us Order of the Phoenix, which is the first Harry Potter game to be on the next-gen consoles, PS3, Xbox 360, and Nintendo Wii. But when you sit down and look at how many different platforms this game came out on, it's pretty astonishing. Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix was released on Windows, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, the PlayStation Portable, the Nintendo DS, the Nintendo Wii, the Game Boy Advance, and on Mac OS X. Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix looked back to what people loved about those first three games, exploration of Hogwarts, and it tried to replicate that in a more hyper-realistic way that felt closer in line with the films. And you would expect something going for something hyper-realistic would be faring better on the more powerful consoles, and review scores show that is exactly what happened. This is so far the lowest score average of any Harry Potter game we've talked about, according to Metacritic. Order of the Phoenix was very interesting because it looked back on the exploration of Hogwarts that was present in the older games, and it sort of gave us something similar to that, but it didn't really recapture the magic you felt of exploring a visual realization of Hogwarts that you would imagine in your head while reading the books. Instead, they opted to go for a faithful to the film adaptation of Hogwarts. Everything is much more grayscale. It focused more on the details of Hogwarts and the realistic nature of what they could represent from the films, instead of creating a sense of wonder that was so present in the originals. Again, we take another 2-year gap between this and the Half-Blood Prince. The Half-Blood Prince came out in 2009 and was built on the foundation they established in Order of the Phoenix. It launched on several different consoles. It's surprising that in 2009 they're still releasing a PS2 game. It was sort of floating around 5s when it comes to the score. It wasn't received very well. You just see this constant decline ever since probably 3. But after that, they decided to follow up immediately the next year in 2010 with Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1, which was a huge shakeup, going back to the level-based structure of 4, except this time it's a cover-based third-person shooter, like your Uncharted, your Gears of War, or anything else coming out around this time. As you would expect, there's several different versions of this game, but the DS version is distinct because obviously you can't have a third-person cover shooter on the DS, so instead they opted to go for a puzzle-based game. This game also had some of the lowest scores in the franchise so far. However, it's worth noting the DS version was reviewed best. 2010, however, also saw another release, which is kind of like a spin-off, but it really came back and reimagined and rekindled the fire and the love of the original Harry Potter games that people grew up with, me included, with Harry Potter Lego years 1 through 4. This title is the best reviewed Harry Potter game, with 80s or higher coming from several different outlets. It included an online multiplayer mode, and to this day that is still one of the only Lego games with this feature. Lego Harry Potter brought us back to a fully realized version of Hogwarts. It's more cartoony, and you get to explore the area and the surrounding places that you would expect to see in Hogwarts, retelling the story of the first 4 films / books in a humorous way that you would expect from a Lego game. It plays very much like a Lego game, which is actually surprisingly close to what you used to have with the first couple of Harry Potter games. 1 year later, we get 2 new Harry Potter games. In 2011, we get Deathly Hallows Part 2, which sort of improved on the problems of the first issue of the Deathly Hallows game. It did review better than the first Deathly Hallows, but this was the last game made by EA Brightlight. They were shut down after this game shipped, and the rest of that is history, because following that, in the same year, we have Lego Harry Potter Years 5 through 7, which was a sequel. It reviewed very well, like its predecessor. However, this time there was no online multiplayer. It was the best Harry Potter game released that year. This isn't necessarily a follow-up in the timeline of Harry Potter games, but in 2012, the launch of Pottermore happened, and at the initial launch of Pottermore, they promised that there was going to be games, quote-unquote, but they never really fulfilled that promise, and it was more like supplying interactive experiences, like the sorting test, finding out what your Patronus is, and all that kind of stuff. So, 2011 to 2015 was a big drought. The biggest so far for Harry Potter games. There was a couple mobile apps I remember having. I can't find them right now on the store, so they were probably taken down, but there was one. It was, you could make spell casting appear with your iPod Touch or your iPhone, and you could battle people. I don't remember it working that well, but it was a thing. Harry Potter sort of made his triumphant return in 2015 in LEGO Dimensions. There was a Harry Potter World playset. You could get that. It was sort of bigger than the original Harry Potter LEGO release. It was a bigger open world. We were sorely lacking Harry Potter, and LEGO is what happened to give us our fix. 2016 also brought back another Harry Potter appearance in video games with the PlayStation 4 port of LEGO Harry Potter Years 1 through 7. This is the first time every single story of Harry Potter was collected in LEGO form on one disc that you could play exclusively on PS4, I might add. But it kept Harry Potter in the gaming sphere, and it's worth it if you haven't checked it out. Now here's where we get interesting. After a long time of re-releases and little cameos, in 2017 we get an announcement from Warner Brothers Gaming Division that they have established PORTKEY Games, a studio whose goal would be able to produce games based on the Harry Potter IP. It's worth noting that the games would not have to be tied to currently related media in the Harry Potter universe, so that means that it doesn't have to be a Fantastic Beasts game or any other exploration that's going on in film or books. Paired with the announcement of PORTKEY Games was that PORTKEY Games would be working with Pokemon Go developer Niantic to create the title Harry Potter Wizards Unite, an augmented reality game using real-life locations to influence gameplay, very similar to Pokemon Go, which would be released in 2018. We're still waiting on that, but it sounds like it could be cool. But many people, including me, were very disappointed when we found out that PORTKEY Games' first outing would be a mobile game, especially considering how perfect a Harry Potter RPG has the potential of being. However, later that same year, it was announced that Jam City, a mobile game developer, would be working on making another mobile game called Harry Potter Hogwarts Mystery. It's an RPG letting players exist as a student in Hogwarts before the events of the Harry Potter franchise. What's pretty cool about this for fans of Harry Potter is that a lot of the original cast from the films would be coming back to lend their voices to the story, including the actors for Dumbledore, McGonagall, and a few others. Unlike the Niantic title, we have actually seen gameplay from Harry Potter Hogwarts Mystery. Both of these mobile titles are slated to come out in 2018 on Android and iOS devices. That is where the Harry Potter timeline of games currently stands. No more news, no more titles, just speculation. So now we just have to look to the future of what could happen with our favorite wizarding franchise. Warner Brothers has a significant amount of studios underneath their belt that could be working on Harry Potter titles. I made a short list of the studios they have, what their bigger titles are, and what their next title could be, so I'll list those off for you real quick. Rocksteady was obviously very successful with their Batman Arkham series, which was a huge accomplishment for superhero titles, really brought a new perspective into what a licensed game could be. However, currently, their next project is unknown. The last thing they did was Batman Arkham VR in 2016, and they have been pretty silent since then, minus a few tweets, but nothing really amounting or hinting to anything. Monolith is responsible for the Middle-earth series, coming off the release and middling success of Middle-earth: Shadow of War this past fall. It's looking like they're probably going to be making another Lord of the Rings title. NetherRealm, easy answer. They're best known for Mortal Kombat and Injustice. Injustice 2 came out in 2017, so Mortal Kombat 11 is most likely up next. TT Games are responsible for the LEGO series. LEGO Incredibles is slated for release this coming summer. WB Montreal is responsible for a lot of small projects. However, there's an outlier with Batman Arkham Origins in 2013, and if you go to WB Games Montreal's website, you will see that they have an opening job position for an open world AAA title based on one of DC's most popular IPs. That kind of cuts out Harry Potter. Avalanche produced Disney Infinity. They were purchased by Warner Brothers in 2017, and their first game under the Warner Brothers name was Cars 3: Driven to Win. It's worth noting that a different Avalanche Studios made a Mad Max game for Warner Brothers, and then that brings us to PORTKEY Games. So right now the future remains uncertain. Looking at the studios Warner Brothers has under their belt, something that could definitely happen is something like Blade Runner, maybe another Mad Max game, but it's clear that DC is a huge priority for Warner Brothers. Hopefully they realize Harry Potter should be as well. The fact that Warner Brothers decided it was okay for them to work with Avalanche Studios to lend out their IP of Mad Max, that is hopeful that they could maybe reach out to other studios to make Harry Potter games. My dream world, as much as I would love for Rocksteady to make a Harry Potter game, would be for Warner Brothers to contact Atlas, the makers of Persona 5, so we could get a turn-based Harry Potter RPG in the vein of Persona, focused on you getting points for your house. They could even make it a game as a service if they wanted to, but you pick your house, you get sorted into your house, I should say. You get points. Whoever has the most points at the end of the season gets the house cup, but you have your classes you got to go to, like Persona, you got your friends you got to hang out with, you got your sports Quidditch meetings to go to, and you have all of that kind of stuff that could factor into a great RPG. Persona 5 is already close to being like Harry Potter. They just got to change some few things around, and having that taste just makes me want it so much more. It would be too perfect, and because of that, it's very unlikely. So we'll have to wait and see where PORTKEY Games will take us in the future. Hopefully it's not to a graveyard where Voldemort is being reborn. Harry Potter had a huge success, huge resources behind it from EA, rise and fall, and for right now it looks like we're stuck in the mobile world. But enough of my talking. If you stuck around this long, it means you're hopeful like me that we will someday get a good, awesome return to the wizarding world of Harry Potter in video game form. If you liked the video, if you learned something, or if you just like hearing me talk, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell so you never miss any content from JoyClicks. And while you're here, comment down below. Let me know what your whole thought process is about Harry Potter video games, the future of the series, and where you want to see it go. But until next time, good vibes and good game.